Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and this is Medicine Walk, and this is Blog Talk Radio, and this is for the very first time pre-recorded. So I mentioned last week that I was going to try something new, and the new thing that I am trying is the idea of pre-recording episodes. And the reason I wanted to be able to do this is so that one, I could be able to have the episodes already set up, and so that way if any weirdness happens last minute, I can be able to address that and still have something to be able to share with you. Also, what it does is it allows me to be able to interact, and that's something that I really want to do is to be able to interact. And what I figured that that will allow me to be able to manage is that while the episode is running, I'm actually going to be on the air or on the chat, so that that way, if you want to talk to me during the chat, then that's something that we can do. And I like the idea of being able to chat back and forth during the episode. So if you have questions or comments, then you can just type them in on YouTube, and I can be able to respond to them. Now, for those of you who are on Blog Talk Radio, I'm still trying to figure out how to be able to answer questions and to be able to manage that at the same time. So it's a lot of stuff. So hang in there. And for those of you who are on Blog Talk Radio, please feel free to come over to YouTube and watch the episodes and the previous episodes that I have. So anyway, let's give this a try. Let's work with this. And recently I posted on for one of my morning tweets, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, please do so, because I send out a tweet, sort of a thought of the day each morning, and it's something that I think people seem to find value in. And so one of them that I posted that actually got a bit of response was the idea that when people want to create conflict, they want to draw you into a conflict, especially on social media, that probably it's best to consider not responding. And the reason that I say this is because when people are indulging in that, when people feel the need to just, kind of vent what it is that they want to vent and they want to share it with everybody, the issue is more about what are they afraid of? What is it that they're carrying inside of themselves that they feel that they need to get that external validation on? And I mean, it could be anything from, wow, I really didn't like the way this person treated me, to, something like really, bullying and just trolling and all kinds of really bad stuff. Everything has light and shadow, and social media definitely falls into that. And so the idea that we have an opportunity to be able to reach out and to support, because I see all kinds of people doing like really awesome support pieces. If somebody posts that they're having a hard day or that they're going through a difficult time, well, people are just, they just like step up in such a wonderful way, and are there and support them and offer suggestions and things like that. The flip side of that is that occasionally people will just utilize it as a way to take out their frustrations and their aggravations and their fear in a very public forum. And the idea is that you want to disempower the person that you're dealing with. You want to let the whole world know. And for those who feel that's necessary, I would encourage you to try to figure out another way to manage that, because it is so, it doesn't help. It doesn't create a positive situation. It doesn't create that sense of, um, that sense of companionship. If this is someone you care about, I mean, like really care about, if they've done something that hurt, it would be better to address it with them. It would be better to, find somebody to mediate between you two. But the idea of going out and just really venting, something that really is just mean. And it's not about anything positive. And really the two things that are important to remember is, one, that whoever is doing that is coming from a place of fear and hurt within themselves. And two, that by taking that action, that is not someone who's looking for a resolution. It's not someone who's looking for something positive. It's someone who wants to express and have others bear witness to what they're dealing with. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just understand that that's the come from. Don't try to give it any noble, well, I'm doing this for the right thing. No, no, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But that's not the right thing. It's not the right way, because more than likely the people who are doing that would be very, very upset that anybody would do that to them. So, anyway, let's move this into that positive piece, into that resolution piece, into something that can be done about it. Um, if you're on the receiving end of something like that, it can be devastating. I know. It can really just cut you the quick, especially if it's someone who you care about, it's someone you trust, it's someone who you really have a strong bond with, because those are the ones that hurt most. When a total stranger just kind of, decides to go off either politically or whatever, then it's a lot easier to say, well, that really doesn't matter to me. What really hurts is when it comes from, someone close to you. So how do you deal with that? How do you find that peace? And like I said, it's often a good idea just to not engage. It's a good idea not to throw fuel on that particular fire, because no matter how attractive or tempting it may be, going after bait only gets you hooked. It's that impulse to say, it's like, well, if I just say this one thing, or I can turn them around, or I can show them the error of their ways and they're going to apologize. Probably not. They're probably not. They're coming from a place that's really kind of hurting inside of themselves. So it's more about, how does somebody deal with that sort of thing. I mean, there is no excuse for bullying, and it is not okay. And often people don't realize that they are bullying. People may just say, well, I'm just saying how I feel. Well, that's fine, unless, of course, when you say that, you say it in a way that is meant to disregard how someone else feels. If you're stating your feeling, that's one thing, and everybody has a right to state their feelings, to state um, their opinions, to just put it out there, and you can, and that's okay. Um, just understand there are consequences. There are consequences for everything we do, and people may not respond so well to it. And if it is in the form of information, if you're stating information and just saying, well, this is what I believe and this is why. But when it goes personal, that's where it crosses a line into something like bullying. And bullying is not okay for any reason. It may be that you think you need to tell that person the truth about themselves and they need to hear it, but it's something that devalues your being a bully. And whether or not that is something that, that you really would think about, it's like, well, no, I'm not being a bully. I'm just saying what I feel. I'm just stating my opinion. Yeah, but it's bullying. And it's not nice. And the people who are on the receiving end of it, that's really a hard thing. So, if you're on the receiving end of that, take a breath and just be in that moment. Take a look at what that person is saying. And I know it hurts, and I know it's really hard, but just look at it. You can take the story and the emotion, just figure, one, this is coming from someone who's hurting. Now, whether or not you were responsible for the hurt, that is has nothing to do with it. What it is it comes from a place of hurting. It comes from a place of pain inside. It comes from a place of lack of a sense of the self in some ways, because if someone were really connected and balanced and grounded, they don't do stuff like that. They don't say things like that. They don't seek a reaction. So the idea is that, remember that this is coming from somebody. Consider the source. There's an old saying, consider the source. And if this is someone who does it a lot, well, then they're acting within their nature. And for some people, that is just their nature. And for good or bad, it's how it is. So the idea is, if this is somebody who is consistently going on YouTube and or not on, well, some on YouTube, but going on social media and just blasting people, well, then maybe that's just kind of where that person is right now. And if it's like, just something specific towards you, then, like I said, take a breath, pause, spend a split second asking yourself, is there any truth in this? Because that's important. Ask yourself if there's any truth in it. Because I mean, maybe it was presented in the wrong way. Maybe it was presented from a place of emotion. But if you have the ability to go, okay, is there any truth in this? Weeding through the emotion, is there anything at the heart that I need to look at myself that I may have done that I didn't realize I did? But like I said, don't go there for longer than like just a tiny bit, just like a little split second, and say, okay, I need to deal with that. But once you've decided, it's like, you know what? I no, I am not guilty of what this person is saying. This is being misrepresented. No. And if you do not have anything to own in that, don't take ownership of any of it. Then it's just somebody who has chosen to feel a certain way about something, that they have been triggered. And in one of my other tweets, I talked about the fact that when somebody is offended, it's not so much what happened or what was done or what was said. It deals more with the fact that it triggered something inside the person who is offended. So the offender may not even know that there was anything wrong or that they did anything, but it was triggered inside the person offended, and maybe it would not have normally been triggered, but in that moment it was. So an offense happened. Whether it really has any actual connection to the person who committed the offense or allegedly committed the offense. So considering that, if somebody takes that triggering that happened within them and then they decide that they are justified to go out into social media and go out and just devalue somebody, I mean, first off, it's in a way probably what they believed was done to them, that they were devalued, that they were disrespected. Answering devaluing and disrespect with devaluing and disrespect does nothing positive. It doesn't. And it reaches that place where it may be that the best thing you can do is just say, you know what? We are in two totally different places. If I did anything to hurt or harm you, I'm sorry. And I will not be bullied. I will not be treated badly. And just, don't respond to them. And there are ways in social media you can block people, you can unfriend people, and all of that stuff. But the thing is not to feed into the energy that this person is trying to generate, because basically that sadness and that issue that's inside of them, that triggering that happened inside of them, is something that they're trying to pull you into. The old saying, misery loves company. And if they're acting out, they want the other person to act out as well, because then it kind of validates what they're saying and what they're doing. If you don't engage, if you don't feed energy into it, one, it's tremendously frustrating to someone on the other end of that. And two, it allows you to have choice, because that's the important thing, is that you have choice in who you want to be, how you want to be in this world, and how you want to present yourself. You know, the saying from Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. And a part of that is not going where somebody else wants to lead you. If you fall into anger, if you fall into, well, we're going to do this war back and forth, and we're going to, do it all in front of our friends and all of this, that doesn't help. And what it ultimately does is start having factions and sides being taken, and all of that, because people want to support their friends. And it's important for everybody to get the whole, either get the whole story or no story, because a half a story is really going to do more harm. So if there is an issue that's coming up that someone has made a big stink about, um, my feeling is just ignore it. Don't get sucked in. Don't get wrapped up. Now, if it becomes personal and it really kind of escalates, you might just post up. It's like, what, friends and family, I'm really sorry that you all got pulled into this. It was, not my choice, and I, just feel really badly that this has escalated to this point. And say flat out, I will be blocking this person. What they write will no longer appear on my feed, and please just respect the space that this needs to be in, because this is not something that is going to be subject to public discussion. And keep it private, because the other person wants to make it public. By keeping it private, that means that you are able to stay in your control place with it. That you are able to decide how you want to manage it. And it can be really difficult, especially for family members, especially for people we're close to. And I never quite understand how people can just go, and because the thing is that somebody vents out, and then someone else will say, it's like, wow, because often somebody who goes on, especially those, like, scroll rants, and you just keep scrolling, like, wow, this person just does not run out of steam. That reflects back on the person more than it does on anyone else. The person who's doing the rant is, it puts them in a particular light. It creates an opinion about them. And since more than likely somebody doing this has got some real hurting places in them, the fact that then it can backfire, and then they become a target of bullying. And see, that's the thing. Bullying propagates bullying unless you stop it, unless you say it is not worth it to create this kind of aggravation, to create this kind of pain for another human being. And it just makes it so much easier if we can all just take a breath and say, you know what, I could be going into a social media battle back and forth with somebody, or I can go outside and I can just stand in the sun, or I can go and hang out with some friends I really enjoy hanging out with, or I can go to a movie, or I can go to a concert. Think of all the other things you could be doing rather than putting energy into something that is only going to spin out. So consider what you want to do, how you want to deal with this. Because that person, you're not going to change their mind. There's nothing you can say to be able to have this go into a better place. The person is not going to suddenly become reasonable. They're not going to suddenly become, oh, well, yeah, okay, I get it. They're probably going to need a timeout. They're probably going to need some calming down time. And the more they spin out, really, the less people are going to listen. And that's sad because that's a person who obviously needs some help. I mean, they need something. And whatever it is, I hope they get it because nobody deserves to be that sad. Nobody deserves to be that upset. If they're creating that level of upset within themselves, I mean, it breaks my heart to think that somebody would feel that they need to do that, that they need to to just be in that yuck, because that's what it is. And you don't have to go there. You don't have to be a participant. You don't have to to add to it. It's already as big as it needs to be when that person just posts it. And yeah, I know, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But you still have choice. Choose to go have fun. Choose to live well. Choose to stay in your integrity, in with who you are. If you know that you're not the type of person who just would go off on people and just just play into that, to play into the anger, the resentment, the fear, to one up them, to get the last word. Let go of the last word. You don't need to have the last word. Your last word can be silence. Your last word can be, you know, that's it. I'm just going out and I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to do what I need to do and I'm going to be what I need to be and I'm going to enjoy myself because life is way, way too short to waste it on foolishness, to waste it on people who are in a space that they're not going to listen to you. You've got lots of friends. You've got lots of people who adore you. You have lots of people who admire you. So the opinion of that one person, does it really matter? Is it really important? Don't worry about the last word. Go out and have fun. Let them have the last word. Because you know what? More than likely, they're the only ones listening to it. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this first part of an experiment. I promise it'll get better as I start getting more into being able to edit and all of that. So, but this is a beginning, and I'm very excited about it. And for those of you who are on YouTube, what you can do is you can click they should be over here, click the subscribe button because all you have to do is press it. And there's also another video if you'd like to take a look at it. So, thank you so much for joining me. And I will also be pre-recording next time. And so, like I said, we're going to see how this goes. But anyway, thank you. And thank you for joining me on this journey. If you're going through